Now, studies have shown that if you choose two people in America, there is a 61.1% likelihood of them coming from different ethnicities. This therefore shows that America is highly diverse, especially when it comes to ethnicities and races of people. So in today's video, I want us to talk about one thing that is really amazing me here. There has been this trend where Blacks and Latinos have a small rift that has really been amplified beyond proportions in recent times. Because for me, first of all, speaking as a Black person and speaking as an African, I understand the history that Africa and Black people have had. And I've also understood the history that Latinos and people in South America have really encountered. And this really brings us to some similarities that I think there is no need for any of these groups coming against one another. Now, in this video, we are going to look at a series of clips where people are expressing how Latinos are becoming more racist towards Blacks. And this is something that must not be accepted. So let's watch this and then come back and talk more.
Since I was born white and since I became a Republican, the Democrats have told me I'm a racist.
So you've been called a racist since you were born, or since you became a Republican? Or you were born a Republican? It's been a while, familia, since I've seen somebody as blatantly anti-Black as this creator. So just a heads up, familia, because it keeps getting worse.
Me, I'm a racist.
That's it. It's not that. They don't want to get to know me. They don't care what I say. They don't care if I call
Every single Black person the most amazing thing that ever happened since sliced bread. I wish that people would have that same energy to stop stealing from our communities.
Yeah, stopping stealing would be great. If people would actually work for a living, if people would actually work for their things and not go steal, which, by the way, is against the...
Those videos were responsible for a very racist video she made that's now disappeared from the internet, but somebody luckily recorded it.
People in Chicago stealing.
People obviously not very happy with her comments, and instead she doubled down, made a bunch of videos following up, and kept posting monkey videos, seemingly to get back at the people that were upset about it. Yesterday she posted one more video that honestly makes it even worse, with a bunch of clips in it of monkeys. Very bizarre, please watch.
Being censored for speaking facts.
No.
Start acting like a normal human being, like an actual human being, and you will get respect. If you start acting like certain types of animals, well, that's what you're going to be called from me. And I'm not going to apologize. If you want to stop acting like that certain animal, then we'll talk. Announcing that I am starting a Rumble account because I'm very tired of being censored simply because I'm white. I'm talking about facts and people put the R word in front of everything. Oh, some communities doing some horrible things, and just because they are a certain race or color or ethnicity, it's not okay for them to be covered up anymore. But guess what, guys? You ain't gonna get an apology from me. That's not what I do. Okay, I don't apologize for things that are actually true, because that's how it goes. If you want respect from me, if you want respect for the rest of your Americans, stop stealing. Stop acting like that. Stop acting like mob people and going and robbing and looting half of Chicago and Atlanta and everywhere else.
Do you all feel as gross as I do after watching that video? Lady, nobody's calling you a racist just for being Republican and white. They're calling you that because of your actions. In another video, she talks about her First Amendment rights, how she only talks about things that are important to her, that she doesn't believe that people should apologize for everything they say. What I want to make clear is that freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. And if you wanted attention, I think it's time we let you have it. To be clear, she does not represent all Latinos, but there is a subset of our community that continues to push forward white supremacy ideals, and putting down people because of the color of their skin is a great example of that. I have a lot more to say, but familia, what do you all think? I'm still shocked that 24,000 people would give somebody like her attention. La mera verdad, me das vergüenza.
There's a pretty common phrase people in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic grow up with. Gafre. Among Spanish speakers in the Caribbean, the word means someone low class or brutish, and is said by people of all colors and racial backgrounds. The word implies you're acting darker in both complexion and behavior, but the word itself carries a linguistic and cultural connection to blackness. It shares roots with the South African racial slur, kafir. Should we have bleeped that? A colonial phrase that rose to prominence during apartheid and that's often compared to the N-word in the United States. While gafre might not carry the weight of an ethnic slur in Spanish, it's indicative of how colorism can quietly be.
It's true. Black people will be discriminated against in a Latin American country. If you're leaving America to get away from discrimination and you're moving to a Latin American country thinking that you're not going to be discriminated against, you're wrong. I've been hearing a lot about people that have moved to Mexico and are complaining that they're being discriminated against in Mexico. Let me tell you something. Mexico discriminates against their own Mexican people that are darker shade than the rest of them. In Mexico, there's a lot of states that have very fair skin and blue eyes people. The people that have indigenous features, the very dark skin, the black hair, are discriminated against. So you coming to live to Mexico and think that you're not going to be discriminated against is a fallacy. This is not just in Mexico. It happens everywhere in Latin America. Black people are discriminated against. In Honduras, there's an entire community of Garifunas. And Garifunas have been in Honduras for hundreds of years. And to this day, they discriminate against them. They remove their land. Some of them even get murdered. It's a battle Garifunas have gone through for decades with Honduras, because Honduras to this day does not recognize Garifunas as part of being part of Honduras. And so I grew up looking at Garifunas as if they were subculture, subhuman. I'm telling you, you think that you're leaving the US and moving to a Latin American country to escape racism. You're not escaping racism. And you need to understand that that's just the way things are. And it's very acceptable. Those of you who are coming on TikTok complaining that they're in Mexico and that they are embracing the Mexican culture and why are they being discriminated against, that is why. Mexico people discriminate against their own. What do you think it's going to happen when you're there? In fact, in Mexico, if you don't have light skin and blue eyes, first of all, look at the telenovelas. You tell me, what do you see in telenovelas? You're only going to see beautiful people with light skin and blue eyes. You're going to see some indigenous people. The vast majority of the roles they give the indigenous actors is of the maid, is of, it's never the pretty woman. Yeah. How many actors do you know in Mexico that are in a telenovela and they happen to be black? Just look at the telenovelas and you tell me how many indigenous actors and actresses you're going to see in those telenovelas. It's the reality in Mexico, and you need to understand that. You're not escaping racism by moving to a Latin American country.
All right, so here's a little lesson for all the Americans who do not seem to understand.
But why would some Latinos want to associate themselves with racist people who target them for violence and regard them as inferior? The reasons are as varied as humans are complex. A big reason is power. The concept of white supremacy could be an expression of what subgroup is powerful, and the attraction to white dominance is really an attraction to power, or believing that they can be protected from these groups. Regardless, this is what is key in all of this. Because the government tends to look at ideology as the driver and has social media monitoring programs to examine what people are saying, white supremacists who do not fit the profile that law enforcement might be looking for could slip through the cracks. Instead, the government must understand criminality, including the ease with which people can acquire extremely deadly weapons. We must establish a regulatory process that actually works and start gathering the data of all these white supremacist crimes around the country, then we can see the connections between them and how they may be related to an ongoing criminal conspiracy that's continuing to perpetuate violence.
Now, after watching that video, I think you are able to really see the level of racism that has been implanted among us. Because from my understanding, I think Latinos and Blacks share a lot in common, especially historical issues that have affected both minority groups. Latinos and Blacks have been disenfranchised in many aspects. They've been disrespected. They have been denied opportunities that are rightfully theirs. And if they can come together and work as a unit, they can really make better outcomes. But then, because of this division that has been perpetuated by the Western people and the Europeans, we are finding that this has also been inculcated into us. And some Latinos who have been oppressed, who have been denied opportunities, can think that they're even better than their fellow Latinos who are darker. This is totally unacceptable. We must come out and really talk about some things that are very, very important. I came across an article here that is talking about the challenges that Latinos youth and Black youths are going through. And there are a lot of similarities that have been highlighted. I want to read it for you so that you get to understand what it really says. Over the past years, America has seen the images of young Black Americans protesting for better treatment by the police, and more acutely protesting against generations of unequal treatment in our society. Latinos share many of these same experiences of exclusion, disadvantage, and barriers to opportunities. Both communities of color make up a sizable share of the population, particularly among younger generations. For example, Latinos and Blacks comprise 39% of Americans aged between 16 years to 24 years. In addition, with the criminalization of immigration law violations, Latinos account for over a third of inmates in federal prisons. Confrontations with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agencies are common. Over the past 3 years, 1 million immigrants have been deported, most of them Latinos. Similarly, many Black men have become disenfranchised by losing their rights to vote due to incarceration. Many Latinos also cannot vote because they are non-citizens. With these facts that we have, I think there is need for Blacks and Latinos to work together. Only then can they really achieve something out of their union. But when they come and attack each other, or even come and think that there is a group that is better than the other, then this can really result in a lot of challenges facing them. I don't know what you think about this topic, but if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Also, remember to give us your opinion down in the comment section so that we may also understand your perspective about the issue. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.